Hello, everyone. How you doing? Yes, we're about 48 seconds late, but we were talking, and we do that. So thank you for coming in and joining us. Welcome to a second look. You know who I am, and my host on the side, right there, that side, well, maybe on that, I don't know, is Miss Trina. How are you doing, Trina?
I'm wonderful. I hope everybody in chat as well. I love you all.
I think they're having a great time in there.
Yeah.
We just favor over everybody. We'll just get that out there. I see Karen, Queen of Quartz, is in. Susie Q. Lots of folks, Miss Trina. Lots
I
of
just got
folks.
off the phone with Karen. It's like we don't get to talk often. And when we do, it's like, oh, I could be on the phone with her for 7 days straight.
I love that. And
You
I
know?
know the feeling. Let's see.
Yeah.
David Barry, so good to see you. I thought I saw Big Al in here earlier. Bernadette, hey, there's a song about you.
Yeah.
Emperor Rex, Rebecca, and Lori. Lots of people in here, huh? Lots of people. So,
Mhm.
Trina, tell me what's been going on. I mean, I think for my end, having John Edmonds on with Bruce
Phenomenal.
McDonald,
That
that
was
was,
phenomenal.
yeah, I really got drained out of that afterwards. It
You
was,
will.
yeah,
Tap into those hardcore, darker energy, alien energies. They will, because they're when you connect to those things in your mind, you're connecting to that field.
mm-hmm.
So no matter what you're doing, even if you're learning, you're still exposing yourself to those frequencies. So you got to make sure and shield up and cleanse yourself and make a strong field around you and restore your frequency.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And
Frequency, because they will suck the life out of you and drain every ounce of energy they can from you.
yeah, and I think on what the whole conversation with John Edmonds was to me was it exemplifies that we're not alone, and the conversation is if well, people have listened to it, is the fact that you know what, these entities, these off-worlders, these other races, whatever you want to call them, I'm not finding them to be all that friendly, Trina.
No, there's,
No.
like I said, even the ones that appear to be friendly. Um, I had a beautiful weekend this weekend, and I was with some beautiful people who are very spiritual, very gifted, researchers, inventors, scientists, just brilliant mind individuals, and just high frequency people. And
Mm-hmm.
when we were there, we actually had like a session, and the ascended master, Saint Germain, arrived, and the Lord, known Jesus, he was there too, and they were sharing some beautiful stuff, and they were saying that they're even those beings are still into, because they couldn't believe I was asking this. I'm like, are you guys vampires? And they're like, don't ask them that. I'm like, they know what I mean. And then they were like, yes, we know what she means. I was like, are you all vampires? Because Saint Germain lived a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what's up? So, and that he's laughing at me. And I'm like, I was like, do you need blood? Because he said, yes, I am. And I was like, do you need blood? And he was like, no, I do not. I said, so you're a light vampire, you need energy. And he's like, yes. I said, just like us, right? Because we have to eat food. He goes, yes, exactly. But he knew how to live on different kinds of foods that made his life live longer. So, but bottom line, I'm like, any kind of being in this realm is a vampire. We have to live off something. We're life suckers, just like everything else is. Everything in the system is entropic. It's entropy. So those were some of the questions I had, and they were answering those questions in a beautiful way, which made so much sense to me. And then I was asking them about, monatomic gold and the golden elixir of life, and they were giving us hints about that. And they told me that this community of us, that we're gaining our power, and they're laughing so hard. They're like, you guys are starting to figure it out. They're like, if you only knew, if you really could only comprehend power that you hold, they were like, you could change the reality in a day. And they would laugh. They were laughing. They're like, do you have any idea how powerful you really are? This reality, you You create it. They were like, in this reality, you can create it any way you want. Any way you want.
Well, it
And
makes you,
it was beautiful.
yeah. I mean, and I guess it. See, I get Karen. I got one of your crystals right here. The thing that I always think about is, as I said at the end of yesterday's show,
Mhm.
you know, except for small pockets, small enclaves of individuals, groups such as this one,
Yeah.
there there is an epidemic out there, and I'm not, as I said, and I meant this, I'm not seeing this enlightenment desire spreading over humanity. I see instead a great state of confusion.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'll quote the Bible on this one. In the book of James, it says, where confusion is, every evil thing lives.
Yes. And this is the land of confusion and illusion.
Well, and so that would then equate logically, if you're looking at this on, you know, I would go through like an org chart. It would say then that unless there is an event, Trina, that will come in and wake people up or at least stop them
Yeah.
in their current modality,
Yeah.
I think we're heading. I think we're heading for something bad. I mean, this. Have you
I
heard
do,
about?
but I do think there's that wake up event coming. I
I
really
hope
do.
so. I
I do.
really do. Yeah.
I really do. And I do think it's going to be something regarding Earth because we're out of balance with Earth.
Oh,
We're out of
yeah.
balance with the divine feminine. It's completely out of whack. And when it gets this out of whack, either you fix it or it will destroy you.
I think it's going to fix itself.
That it always will, one way
Yeah,
or
it
another.
always will. I mean, I
Yeah.
think.
So whether we stand through it or we don't, but I have a feeling the ones who, this is where I saw, I think, the vision when the Lord explained to me when I was a little kid, when he popped the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a new earth. I think somehow there is some kind of a portal or a stargate that we're literally going to be entering, a black hole. I don't know. But that's when this division happens. And it's like when you go into 0 point, it's like the energy knows where to go, positive, negatives. They have their own divine intelligence and they know where to go from out of the center 0 point. So whenever we enter whatever this thing is that we're going to go into, and it's going to recreate 2 earths at that point. It's like a cell and it divides. So, and then the darker earth is probably going to be where we're not going to be, because we're going to be going into this new dimension. And I don't know that it's going to be a moving of our physical location. We're going to be moving through some type of a space thing. That's what I
I can dig
feel
that.
about it. But I would see that event would be a division, a strong division, because it would literally be done energetically. And but they showed me too that we wouldn't even know it happened when it happened. And like slowly the realities would start to separate, and one would go into a much higher vibration and one would stay kind of where we are in this war crazy matrix.
You know, for the last three and a half or so years that I've studied the metaphysical aspect, you know, the common theme is that there's some sort of a frequency that's going to awaken a dimensional change. And I really don't know how to define that by science, but anyway,
Yeah.
but there is a possibility of what our astronomers are now witnessing and have been for the last several decades. And that is this galactic sheet that is heading towards us. It's hit the nearest star system away from us, which is 1 light year. So that's 6 trillion miles. They've been seeing the stars in that quadrant of space light up like Roman candles, which
There
leads.
you go. That's
Yeah.
what I saw, Wayne. That's what I saw.
Well, then
So,
that would.
so they're going to probably try to freak everybody out and terrify everybody and
Oh,
scare.
yeah.
We need to know this is going to be the best thing that ever happened to this planet.
Well, it's definitely going to amp us up. I mean,
I know, bring it
you
on.
know, I think that this is why I'm doing the whole study on underground, because,
Yeah.
if our sun was to do a micronova, it could be a very serious day here on Earth. I
Yeah.
mean, but anyway, I mean, possibility.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
I
I saw us still standing on the earth in the new vibration. It was profound. It was profound.
there are some Tibetan monks who will say that death really is not what we perceive it to be. It's literally a shift.
And maybe that was death and I died and I went to the higher earth. I don't know, but it was
Yeah.
awesome. I'm
I
like,
mean,
dude, sign up for that.
it's like, all right,
But
far
my
out.
my senses, because the Lord always told me that we came here to do something that was never done before. I think it has to do with this ascension thing happening while we're on planet and living through it. I think this is the part that's never been done before. Some of us are going to have the ability to ride through these waves
Hmm.
of vibration, and it won't break us down and kill us because we're already vibrating high enough, because it's going to meet us. We're going to like, but some people, they're vibrating so low. This is what I saw. Men's hearts would fail. It's the frequency of it.
There's something to that. I mean,
Mhm.
um, but it's true. I mean, you are more susceptible to depression, oppression, sickness, disease when the vibration, and it's, what you feel, that state of consciousness, when it's in that lower stage. And the thing about it is the density is so dense that it literally sucks you in.
Oh yeah, it's like a magnet.
Yeah, I mean, I always equate it
Once
to a
it locks
sponge.
on.
It's like, hey, man, it's like,
Mhm.
and that's why we should continue the whole thing about laughter.
Yes.
Laughter is like, it's an instant Yeah, I would say that it would be an instant transmutation of one state of consciousness to a higher state of consciousness.
And not only that, it produces internal alchemy because of the chemicals. So
Yes,
it's alchemy. Yeah, it's so many levels. It's multidimensional.
that's why, some of the dark forces that I have encountered in my life, when you start laughing at them, it
Yeah,
enrages them.
it does, because they know
Yeah.
they've lost.
Yeah, they just blow up. I
Smell their
mean,
defeat from the flowers coming out of your joy.
it's just it's so true. I mean, you just start laughing, and yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's truly powerful. People don't understand how powerful our imagination is. And you can do and be anything you want to, but we've just been told that we can't.
You see, now that is a very interesting point, Trina, because a number of the books, the documents that I've been going through,
Mhm.
particularly the one with the underground tunnels going from Romania to Iraq, to Egypt and around the world. The interesting point is that the builders of that said the one thing that man has and does not use to its full potential is imagination.
Absolutely. I've been getting this message for a while now, and literally, remember I told you, it's like when I was a little kid, I'm like, I will never not hear your voice, and I was just like so adamant. There's a part of me that's still that little kid, and it's alive within me, and that part of me is the part of me that can so easily tap into these higher realms and imagination. It's and it used to be this way for all of us because we were all children at one time.
Before the shift happened in myself, I'm an analytical guy, creative, and I was in the software industry. And
Yeah.
prior to that was in the video and film industry. But
Mhm.
so my ideas when I began to learn computer code and how, computer systems are designed, the imagination was flowing into where, I built a full payment system by myself.
Yes.
And now, when the shift took place in me, that energy now is this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Your passion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, the inspiration that's flowing
And
through your mind is connected to this frequency.
it's so true. And what you find is that classic thing with you. I don't know if you ever seen the doing the trick on the finger, but is that the two-way communication now is still as intense when I was in software, but today it's in a whole different area of knowledge.
Well, it's funny, we're
Yeah.
starting to see each other in the astrals.
Yeah, I saw you the other
I saw
day,
you too.
and I saw Big Al. Al, do you smoke? I don't know if he
Yes, he
smokes.
does.
Okay, it was Al.
He always smokes those little cigar things.
Yeah,
He does.
okay, yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah,
does.
yeah,
Oh, that's so
yeah.
funny. You know what I saw you, Wayne?
Where?
I was in the astrals, and all of a sudden I was like going through a wormhole, and I stopped straight at this big door. It was like an arched door, and it had like concrete walls around it and like vines and stuff. But there was no doorknob. So and then I heard, you need your key. So I manifested my key and I placed it on the door, which was ironically enough, I didn't know it would have been this, but it turned out to be a 6-pointed star.
How
And then I
cool.
heard, turn it to the right 3 times. And I turned it, and then the door opened, and it was a garden, and you were there. Queen of Courts was there. Al was there. Nick was there. Kent was there.
How
There was a
cool.
few people there that I couldn't see because they were behind you guys, but there were more people there with us. But when I opened the door, you turned around and you were like the first one I could see, and you had a teapot in your hand, and you were like, "Would you like the tea?" And I was like, "Absolutely."
Would you like a hot beverage to feel
Yeah.
better? Far out. I mean,
And
that's
oh
literally all
yeah,
I.
yeah. And I was just like back in my body, but it was so awesome. And we were in this beautiful garden, and everybody was there. It just felt like everybody. It was just amazing. It was confirmation that we're actually meeting in the astrals all the time.
We are, and it happened to me very vividly. And it's so true. I like how you described the wormhole because that's the effect.
Mhm.
And I just saw you for a brief second. I remember sending my love, and you just kind of smiled. And then the next thing I see is Al, and I see him in a truck. And I see him sitting in a chair like this, smoking, like, and I'm thinking, and I stopped and I said, Al. And the next thing I was being pulled right on. So yeah,
Yeah, isn't
yeah,
that's so amazing? So yeah, we're all starting to connect and see each other. It's beautiful.
it is. And um, I've been going out and really challenging the elders in my perception of reality.
Mhm.
And lucid dreaming is becoming very much more. Something happened to me last night, which was really interesting. I'm flying again in my dreams.
Right on.
But I woke up completely freaking drained. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it's like I woke up in a fugue.
Well, sometimes if you're going to new vibrations, sometimes it takes a lot of energy for your body to run the frequency to keep it in homeostasis so they can be aligned. So sometimes that will wipe you out as well. Even if you're traveling to higher vibrations, it can
Hmm,
still wipe you out physically because you're not used to that vibration.
cool.
When
I
I got done
totally,
with the masters this weekend,
yeah,
oh, I came home and passed out. I was drained because
yeah,
that high energy for so long, it just wipes you out.
yeah, it does.
Yeah, you gotta go take a nap.
I equate it to like laying down in a huge sponge, it just kind of
Yeah,
sucks you right into it. Yeah.
it does. Yeah, and it's like I'm still vibrating from that experience. Those frequencies are really, really high.
And yeah. And I think that again, with knowledge, the, the understanding I'm getting is that the mind of the spirit has to be flexible. I think the greatest challenge, Trina, in this life is not building the walls, the
Yeah,
barriers. And
yes,
damn it, I have a number of them. I know I do. We all do. But
oh,
yeah, I mean, and it's the frustrating part because inward, I see that, the futility of it.
Yes. But the way to just get through every single one of those is as soon as you can identify it, tell yourself with the intentions that you want to go and resolve this in the astrals. And when that thing comes up or shows up, use your imagination and just deal with it.
You
Deal with
really
it.
do.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
but the thing I'm hearing is that, okay, we've mastered these samurai abilities. We've already learned how to kick ass and take names in multiple lifetimes. Many of us have died doing it. So they're telling me now the way to shift the polarity of this is we have to learn how to stop fighting, kind of. I mean, don't take no crap, but what you need to do is force these things to see their own light. And they said that that's going to just start wrecking stuff like they can't even imagine. It's kind of like the antivirus, like when Kent was saying, when he goes into
Yeah.
those realms and you get the
Yeah.
soul sometimes, and Ryan, sometimes these other souls, because your light is so bright, just by them seeing your light, they remember their light and they wake up. So like you're going to get one and then 50 of them wake up around you because you're battling with these two dark ones that are trying to keep this thing there, So it's the craziest thing that we have this power in us that's just, it's absolutely profound, and it is through what you believe.
Now, Ryan I saw him over on Brian's channel, Milky Way Weekly. He's the one, he made a statement that I was quite surprised about, that he actually, now I want to make sure I'm saying this correctly, that he actually prays to Lucifer.
Oh, he works with Lucifer and Lilith all the time.
And I thought that was interesting, but his rationale
He's very rational.
The fact of his rationale is that, and I did the whole study, what Lucifer actually mean. All it simply means is light.
Yeah, light bearer.
It not even light bearer. It means basically essence of light.
Phosphorus, Lucifer.
Yeah, phosphorus.
Venus.
That's the word.
Yeah, phosphorus, Venus, Lucifer. It's not what we've been told.
Yeah.
We've been told all this stuff backwards and lies to keep us in suppression. To give our power away. So we need a savior. As soon as you need a savior, you're a slave.
It's very interesting you say because I actually had there's a group of spirits that I actually know now that I can connect with. And you have to be open to it. That's the only thing I can say. And anyway, I was actually reprimanded, and I was like, what? That was exactly, I said, what? And they said that you've awakened to a power within you, but they said there are many spirits who are literally afraid to be around you.
Right, because you might hurt them.
That is exactly it. As one told me, one elder said, learn to control that, boy.
Yes, that's what they're telling me too. They're telling me, you guys are starting to understand how powerful you are. We're going to start doing crap that we can't even imagine. Yeah. They're like, you guys need to understand, you need to be careful with this too, because you can really hurt some stuff. And that is going to create karma on a level you might not have ever known before, because this is new.
It's a new experience. I have an extreme difficulty with the Elohim. I mean, I have told my elders that it for me, the thing that I have to contain is the absolute anger I have against that race of beings for what they have done to our race. So yeah, there's a karma exchange there.
I will tell you, Wayne, that whatever they did to us is how we became what we are. So reverse that in your mind and heal it and send them gratitude. That's how you fix it, and it's true. They didn't know what we would become, but because we are fused with the serpent and we are fused with man, we have become something different.
Yeah, but it was the Elohim that has put us in opposition to what we would call the light. I mean, you look at where that has gone. And so we've had basically, if you look at the 2000 dark years that which I say we're probably just exiting. If I look at the ancient Hebraic religions and others, so it's 3,500 years.
At least that they've had.
At least, yeah.
Under suppression.
Yes, and so interesting. I read it was from Cornell University, a professor who was writing on the absence of femininity in modern society.
It's been going on for thousands of years, and that's why we're in war, and that's why all this crap has gone crazy.
Yeah, yeah, and his observation was simply that
Yeah.
everything we look at governments, we don't look at governments in a feminine.
No.
It's always male.
Yep.
It's the
That's
patriarchal.
what's wrong with everything. And all of our female goddess information has been wiped from history. The
Mm-hmm.
only time that Egypt ever prospered was when Isis was ruling.
Yeah, yeah, she
Stopped
did.
all the oppression.
It's odd that you say that because this book I'm reading again, and I'll tell you, my heritage is from, Ireland, Wales,
Me too.
Germany, and Italian. Yeah, baby. Anyway, I love the Celtic religion,
Me too.
their belief system.
Me too.
Wow. I mean, talk about the balance of the feminine.
Yeah, they really
Yeah.
did. And that's where the druid stuff comes from. Is from all of
Yes.
that. And that was the hidden, because they knew they had to take it underground.
Yeah. And so interesting. Again, you use that term, underground.
Yeah.
I am convinced my encounters with Lilith have been delightful. I mean, she is an amazing spirit, but as I see her manifesting in many of the different goddesses around that were literally, I mean, they were extracted from the collective consciousness of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I had a conversation, Trina, with someone recently, and I talked about the feminine goddess.
Mm-hmm.
You would have thought I turned into a freaking alien.
Oh, absolutely.
The couple looked at me
and
they literally said, "It's been good to see you."
Right. And it's so funny. It's so funny because it's been in front of you your whole life, but you don't even know what it means, and you don't know its proper true stories or origins. But everybody knows who the Virgin Mary is. Everybody knows who the Black Madonna is. Everybody knows who Isis is. It's like there are a few of the Statue of Liberty. There's these things they've always been around because they can't suppress her fully. But then again, too, they've twisted the true stories of these beings, just like Bridget has been turned around, and they use it now in Christianity as a saint when it's not at all what she is. She's literally is like Lucifer. She's the symbol of illumination and truth.
Outstanding.
Yeah,
outstanding. So I had this thought while we were talking. I wonder how much sickness could be contributed to the fact that I can know for most of the males of the world would have no understanding that the body has to have a balance as well, the male, the feminine.
Yeah, because the feminine part of you is the part that produces all the chemicals.
See, when I lay hands on myself each morning before I get into the shower, what I do, I speak to every cell in my body. I say every cell in my body is regenerating and rejuvenating.
And you want to talk to the divine feminine, say the power in me that is female and divine, the part that makes my heart beat, my eyes grow, my stomach, and my food digest. I speak to that part of me as well.
Well, I would have to say the two that really crack me up on this, they're two of the biggest rock stars. They're kind of their private names, Laverne and Shirley. And you know who that is? You know who that is?
Yes.
Rod Stewart and Elton John.
Oh my God, totally.
Totally. Rod Stewart's name is Shirley and Elton is Laverne. And
oh my God.
So anyway, and
I didn't know that way. And that's
and you can't help but not think about Freddie Mercury. I'll say this, I've been in rock and roll for 50 plus years. And I remember seeing Freddie when he performed, when he was alive. And the thing that made him attractive is it did in many of the male figures is that they had a way, much like Mick Jagger can do, of literally bringing the feminine into their personification of their acts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I did a little bit of research, and there was a lot of buzz talking about the Victoria's Secret models and how probably 80% of them are men. And that's why they call it Victoria's Secret.
So, well,
Really Victor.
you know, and when, you know, tomorrow we're going to pick up on the aliens, but the one race that had 8 different genders.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I still think about that.
To a whole new level, huh?
Doesn't it? I'm going 8, and you know, listen, why? You know, that's the problem. We immediately want to reject that, but I'm sitting here going, I have no idea what that means, but I'd like to find out.
Just said to me? That just said to me, octopus, 8 brains, 8 different layers or levels of creation.
And do you know that science?
Yeah, you'd have 8 regenerative parts you could create from. I saw octopus.
And an octopus is an alien life form on Earth.
Yes, it is. And it has brains.
It is. Well, it's not supposed to be here.
Yes, it has no genetics of Earth.
No, none.
I know.
Wow, now I hadn't thought about that. Very observant, Miss Trina.
I literally saw an octopus when you said that. I was like, wow. Okay.
Someone wrote Gemini alien sex.
Gemini alien sex. I love it. I love it.
Brings a whole new expression about go and fuck yourself, you know?
Exactly.
Every day, man.
How many parts?
Oh, I should say coitus, and you know, not to be so crass, but oh no, that's just funny.
I know it is. Yeah, but it's like, you know, we're getting all this evidence of this 5D stuff showing up in our reality, and it can literally hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's why I think that this has been so suppressed, because I think part of the feminine is subconscious mind, and it's your hidden abilities, it's your power to astral travel, it's the power to get into the subconscious part of the strata that you don't have conscious awareness of, this dark hidden part of ourselves that is fully accessible. These 5D things are running around and they can hurt us, and we've been blocked off from our 5D abilities. That's not fair.
Isn't it interesting if you read the Abrahamic version of this, you know, this story of the fallen angels, that when you study that, the first thing that they did was to teach females how to entice them and enhance themselves. The use of makeup, the use of smells. I mean, and that's interesting. I mean, I don't believe the story, but I believe that the essence of the story has foundation. There was definitely a genetic interchange of going on there. But
and they say, you know, Isis taught them sex, how to have sex.
Yeah. And when in fact, in the book of Adam and Eve, after the garden, it was Lucifer who taught them how to have sex. Adam refused to have sex with Eve because he said, why should I have sex with myself? Wow. Now, you think about that. That was exactly spot on.
Wow.
He saw it as a perversion.
Yes.
And thus...
replication.
Yeah.
Replication, which means it's a golem.
Well, he just said why, and it was Lucifer who came forth and said, well, that may be true, but remember now, she is a part of you, and unless there is this union, then there'll be no more of you.
Fear.
And in fact, as the book reads, Adam never was what we would call, I don't think, ever intimately connected to Eve.
You may not have been.
You know, if the story of Lilith in her introduction.
What I saw with that is they literally put him to sleep and took out his genetics and started cloning from him.
Well, I actually read in one Jewish manuscript, they removed the womb, not the rib, the womb from Adam.
Oh my God, that would make sense. And they created the clone with the womb and made woman Eve. Wow.
Womb man, womb of the man.
Well, the womb used to be in man. That's the androgynous Christ. I've
Yeah,
seen that. The
yeah,
androgyny has a feminine expression, has a
yeah.
masculine, but they have both.
I think that the
Always both.
initial model was self-replicating, much like we see in other life forms.
What I would see was I think that anybody had the ability to give birth. And the thing that created new life was when 2 points of light come together, like two beings come together. And when that blending of that energy, it would create new life in the womb. It would like produce a seed.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that is, it's not taught broadly, but when you look at that, it really comes into, someone said the word translated to an angled organ. Is that what I saw? Um, so yeah, I mean you can't help it, now that I know of the Inky Inyel and Inyel, their mother, it's very clear to me, I think, as the picture. And the Liar Lilith, I think her story is spot on.
I find a lot of resonance with that. And just like the book of the giants too, it's like,
Oh,
wow, I have a lot of resonance with these things. It's profound.
next time you get before the master on that one, ask him about that one, because that one is, I've had a lot of people write
I know
me.
it's true because I think I know it's true. I've seen it. I've seen the giants. I've seen it, and they were kings. We were little, they were big. And then I've also
Mhm.
seen myself very big, so that means I must have been a giant.
Well, it's certainly what Og left with our Wayne Steiger was this.
Mhm.
It expanded my internal view of a deity.
Yeah.
The one for many years when I was a practicing Christian stood about 5'6", 5'8". Now the one, it's unlimited,
Yep.
because yeah. I
Yep.
mean, and the tunnels that we've now found under Romania, that we're now understanding underground, were built by giants. We're reading many of these different races are, 12, 14 feet tall. That would be a giant.
Oh God, I've seen them bigger than that, but
Yeah.
that was about normal size.
I don't know how the copulation took place, and that's why I know that there was most likely a genetic situation
That's when
taking
you were
place.
talking about the problems with the replication. I
Yeah.
was like spot on. I knew that was right. I just
Yeah.
felt like you're absolutely right. There is a
Yeah.
problem with getting this line to go forward. There was all kinds of genetic anomalies, like the cyclops.
Yes.
There was genetic stuff wrong with this species because it was
Yes.
blending of earth and beast and angel.
Mm.
And it was
Or
a forbidden union, I think, and that's why the genetics really had a lot of problems.
And I can't help but not carry this over to, let's say that the other galactic races, they're out there, and I mean, there has to be a higher intelligence that was watching this and had to be saying, what are they doing? It's madness. It's
I
absolute madness. I mean, the whole thing about King Og, that is very well documented in much of the Abrahamic writings as well. It's freaking madness, Trina.
madness, absolute madness. The only best explanation I can have is because I asked him, why didn't you just destroy all of this? Because I see that same view. I'm like, this is crazy, crazy land here. I was like, why would you even let this exist? And he said, because of this hard struggle and all the karma, it would produce something that had never been made before. And it's about our consciousness. It's not about our bodies. It's about what we're experiencing in these bodies. So this would bring forth a new level of a creation of a being that would be like a warrior of light and a warrior of protecting what is good, because we've seen what bad looks like.
Mm-hmm.
You can't know something until you've felt it and experienced it. So we're experiencing this darkness so that way we can always be the guardians to keep it under control.
It brings me back to the thought, and the theory of, all right, does consciousness equate to soul? And does soul equate to consciousness? I'm beginning to think I think there's an essence called consciousness that really is not attached to anything what we would call much more to the ethereal.
I do too. I think there's something to that. And
Because how can someone murder someone in such? I told you I just read the story of the young girl that they found her body wrapped in a rug in a U-Haul trailer. And when I read that story, I saw her death, and I
yeah.
saw her last words saying, "I didn't want to die like this."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can't tell me that that is the perpetrator of that somehow has a soul.
Unfortunately, I think they do, and now they're going to have to deal with the karma of what they've done with that soul, because that they've chosen to do that. But you know, a lot of things too, Wayne. A lot of these crazy, weird, violent acts. You need to understand a lot of these people have been completely taken over.
Oh, yeah.
So you got to look at that too. That they might have had to witness their body doing that, and when they couldn't stop it. You got to realize there's some real big trauma with this kind of stuff, because I think 90% of these crazy things that are happening with these mass shootings and these violent murders, these crazy train ones chopping people into pieces,
Mm-hmm.
these are not human beings. These are demons.
Let me correct that on demons. I think they are absolutely off-worlders. I think that
Absolutely, which I think demonic entity can be off-world.
Yeah, that's what I see, that these are actually,
Yes.
these are what we would call aliens. And
Yeah, just like those Greys coming to that ranch out there. They weren't nice,
God.
you know. Yeah, chop them up pieces, cut their heads off. It's like, yeah, when these things are attacking you, you fight back. But it's
John
like,
said that they had absolutely no remorse, no nothing.
that's what I felt
Yeah.
in presence of them once. It did, they were nothing. They had
Yeah,
nothing in them.
yeah, it's
Nothing.
just like, and it's
They're
like,
just like robotic dolls with a mission to hurt.
well, then that's a good point to bring up. Does empathy separate us from other alien species? Because
Yes.
yeah, that's what I would think as
Yes.
well. Yeah.
Yes, and that's why we're so profound, is because we have the spark of the divine feminine, which is that intuition. It's the empathic part of us. It connects to the solar plexus. It connects to the sun. It's powerful. And they don't have that gut complex. They don't digest food the way we do. They don't have those.
And it's one I'm going to continue to pursue, because I continue to question, why is it that when we talk about off-worlders, aliens, ETs, whatever, we never talk about the spiritual side of this?
Because I don't think people know. I don't think they can comprehend it. They're trying to wrap their heads around aliens, let alone to deal with what's their
Can you imagine that?
like, you know? Yeah. But for us, it's like, we know they're here. And it's like, what are they? Because, we're through the initial shock of, oh yeah, this might be real, but a lot of people are just stepping into the, are you serious right now? This is just TV. This isn't real, because they've been brought into the TV where they can separate. They think, oh, that's just television. It's not real. But based on everything you see on television is coming from crap that's real.
And they forget the word they're saying. It's to television.
You got it.
Come on, and I remind young people that, and they look at me like, well, I never heard that before. And I said, exactly. Think about it.
They tell you the vision. So that
They
way
tell you the vision.
And you will form the reality by the television they've been giving you. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is how you go.
People who don't believe nothing unless they see it on the news.
Exactly. They really don't.
That's how powerful this black magic has been. This black cube magic that they figured out with the TV. Man, they got the whole herd.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Maybe, some of these abduction stories, isn't it interesting that maybe it is something that's unique to humans? Maybe it's something that, we were engrafted with, this thing that we call a soul.
I do think so.
Yeah.
I do think.
Wouldn't you would like to try to extract that and study that if you could? I studied all my life and I still haven't quite figured it out, and I got one.
That's what I mean. I think that there's a blending between soul and spirit that animates.
Yeah.
So without the blending, I don't know if there's animation. You're still going to have a soul essence, but I don't know if it can operate. I keep seeing that. I don't know if that's just in this dimension or if this goes all the way past. I don't know. But
I don't know either. I know the Egyptians believed very much that there was that essence of what is soul and spirit.
yes, I
Um,
know there's two. It took me a long time to learn
yeah,
that, but
yeah.
now I do definitely see the difference between the two.
I often, the one thing I can remember in the Bible, Hebrews 4:12, it says by the word can separate the spirit and the soul, separate the bone from the marrow.
Oh,
That's a
sweet.
good, I just now saw that, the
Yeah,
bone from the marrow.
which is the blood, the fluids, the DNA,
Huh.
genetic building blocks from the marrow. So you can pull the original codes from the structure. They're separate.
Well, I'm thinking, is the bone the soul and the marrow the spirit?
Oh, yeah, I can see that too.
Yeah, I could see that.
Totally. And like I said, without them interlocked together, there's no life in it.
Yeah.
It's with that temple thing is just not going to work no more. It's done.
I read in one book that the author was talking about, and I don't know how he came up with this, but he said that the uniqueness of this experience is that the soul has an independence to the spirit.
I think so.
Well, if you think about that, the saving of your soul.
I think the soul is like we all come from spirit, but we gain a soul to experience the separation from source. That's the only way to do it. You have
Mm-hmm.
to separate out of the all to have any kind of separation at all, because it's all just one. And, so you got to separate it out. So I think that out of source, we gain a soul so that way we can gather experiences of creation for source. So while we're in the soul and we get to go in the incarnations and do all this stuff, I think the soul is a vehicle.
Yeah.
And it collects all the information of the travelings through that journey away from source. And the soul is the recording device that watches and records the whole experience of the lifetimes.
It makes one think if the soul is what allows the spirit to interact in these other dimensions.
I think it is. I think it's the vehicle.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think that's what I feel. I think you're right. I think you have to have the soul construct to go into anything to form any kind of body, because somehow the soul gives you the ability to get the architecture of that dimension, that reality, to build your body, build whatever you do to incarnate in that system. It's the foundation mechanism that attaches to information to be able. It's kind of like a womb.
Yeah.
So like a womb.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's the womb.
Mm.
Yep.
It because it makes me think on this, that when you think of the spirit,
Mhm.
the spirit is the essence.
Spark.
And
Yeah.
I was meditating, I do this in the morning, and I start just going out. And so I put the question out to the group. I said, all right, so let me get this straight, that at the moment of my separation from this body, I
Mhm.
said, you're going to tell me that I look like me.
Mhm.
And then the question that was asked back to me, the elder, he said, what do you look like now?
Mhm.
And it's interesting because I see an image of myself that's not this.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's what you will manifest if you so
Yeah.
choose.
Yeah.
It's that
Yeah.
simple. And like I said, I've seen a really big body me. I've seen an angelic part of me. I've seen different parts of me. And so man, sky's the limit.
I mean, these are the question, folks, we never ask ourselves. You're all going to die.
Yeah.
No one gets out alive.
No.
Um, that's why I gave up on the pursuit of wealth.
Yeah.
Now, wealth flows, but the fact is, when I gave up on it, because I had that epiphany. I was sitting in my office one day, And I'm looking out, and this is when I lived in Austin, Texas. And I just suddenly realized, I'm putting in, 20 hours a day,
Yeah.
building a company. And I suddenly realized I saw this funeral go by.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know who's in there, but I know this. They didn't take anything with them.
Yep.
They didn't even take their body.
Yep. When I lost my drive for the material wealth thing was when I realized what a good slave I was.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, I really brought a lot in. I was a good slave because
Oh, yeah.
all of this was for them, and that took all of my energy. And I fed all that energy into something that's dead. It's not even alive.
It's not,
I'm a good slave. Oh, I was so mad. I was so mad. I was so mad.
and listen, and this the question I asked the elders today when I was out there. I said, I'm sad because this system, the
Yeah.
system itself is designed to drain,
To
I
take
don't
your
know.
fire, to take your spark,
I
to
see
take
so
your
many sad
energy.
people today. I
Yeah,
really
because
do.
they're drained because they're being
Yeah.
fed off by darker energies and they don't know how to get them off.
I don't see people smiling. I don't see, I do the shopping in our house because I enjoy it. And the grocery store is really a place where you get to see a part of people because what are you doing? You're
Yeah.
buying consumption to be able to sustain yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. And we live in a time where you can walk into these buildings, and if you brought a person 100 years ago into a modern day Safeway, Kroger's, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
they would have think that they have died and gone to heaven
Yeah.
because there's an abundance of everything.
Yeah.
But anyway,
And it's all fake. It's not even
oh,
real.
if you read the ingredients, you're going like,
And yeah, the
oh,
food.
isn't that good, Trina?
That's what I mean. It's all
Yeah.
not real. The food is even fake now. It's not
Yes.
real to begin with. It's just a different holographic imprint. It's crazy.
They talked about the veggie burgers, and someone did the ingredient search, and they found out that it's worse than dog food. It is the same
Absolutely.
substance of dog food.
And dog food now is poison. Old dog food used to be good for you. This
Yeah,
dog food will kill you.
yeah. We only get we buy it from a place that's all natural, and but yeah, yeah. And I'm thinking, so now they're feeding us Soylent Green. That's where it's going. Do you remember the movie with Charleston
Barely, but the
Heston?
concept, yeah, about everything just is the poison world. It is.
Well, the Soylent Green were human beings.
Oh God.
You
I don't.
see, the earth could no longer produce any minerals, could never produce anything that sustained these bodies must have. And so what they did is that they reconstituted the dead.
Yep.
That was the whole basis for Soylent Green.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that. But you know what? That might be the out end game of the lower earth once the division takes place when we get through this band of light.
Wow, Trina. Oh man, I'm telling you.
We're going through this band of light. And it's weird. I think when the band of light hits us, it's going to be the opposite. It's going to turn it dark.
Mm,
So that's
yeah,
going to be the conundrum. It's like you would think it's going to be bright. No, it's going to dark.
interesting.
And then when I saw when the light came back, we were literally sitting in a different reality because the vibration was different.
So are you starting to work with light? I mean, I am buying a
I have
number of,
for 20 years, and I'm a
yeah,
polarity practitioner, and light
see?
energy is the natural chi energy. I'm a powerful energy worker. I didn't know that till I went to school, but I have three, I'm triple fire, so it kind of makes sense.
So let me ask, when you have a person come to you, um, what do you see? Is there a commonality that can be seen in people, or is each person different? I mean,
As a healer, I had to learn to put up my boundaries pretty quick. So
mm-hmm.
I kind of have an agreement contractual with the universe that when I get sent people, when they actually do show up in my home, that they're really seriously looking to make some change, and that whatever they're there to receive, that I have what they need. So I've seen
Excellent.
all kinds of different stuff come to my door, but I'm in resonance with all of it. So it's kind of everybody's different.
Now, do you need the person to be there physically?
For most times, yes. If
Yeah.
I'm going to do a serious unlocking or take them regressive to get into some trauma and stuff, yeah, because the body, when it releases energies, trauma, sometimes entities are in the body that you're not even aware of. There's all kinds of things. There's vomiting sometimes. Sometimes people convulse on the table because they hit 0 point so fast, it's like a reset. So there's
Interesting.
all these things that can happen. I've seen people sit straight up off the table and start chanting in ancient languages. I've seen lots of stuff. So you need to make sure that you can keep their body safe.
Wow.
Yeah, because there's some serious, powerful unlocking that happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes primal screams. I mean, I thought they were going to call the cops on me sometimes because the stuff that's going on, you know, people letting out primal screams for 20 minutes. Sounds like I'm murdering them.
Wow.
And I've had to literally, like, if I have a session like that, I literally go bang on my neighbor's door and go, you can come and check my house if you want. This is a session. And if you do hear this stuff from my house, please be aware. But if you see cars in the front, usually it's because somebody's here I'm working on. But if you hear that, you might want to help if it's me screaming or something. I said, I know it's kind of hard, but you might hear screaming coming from my house. And if you're ever concerned, just come knock on the door.
And how long are these in sessions?
Yeah.
Okay. And what is a typical session length of time, or is it
60 to 90 minutes, unless I'm working with kids. They usually get done in about 15 to 30 tops. They
Yeah, I could see
fly
that.
these sessions. Oh my
Yeah.
God, they're masters, little wizards. Can't keep
Yeah.
up with them. I'm like, hey, wait for me. Slow down, buddy. Where are you at now? Yeah, I have to keep tracks of those little shits. They're quick.
I love this. So
Yeah, they're fast.
so when a person goes through a session with you, what is it typically that they get to see? I
It
mean, or
depends
what
on
does they feel?
it depends on what they're doing. I mean, I might be doing energy work with them. I might be doing trance work with them when I take them down into a session. And basically I find out, what is your intention? What do you want to work on? And,
Mm-hmm.
and if they're like, I don't know, then I'm like, let's go find out. And we'll go into the body. I'll have them put stuff up on movie screens, and I'm just guiding them to see where they need to go. So that's why I said it's always different for every person, because I will not do the work for you. I will make you do the work, but I can show you how to get there. So
Excellent.
I'll open the doors. That's all I'm going to do. And then I'm going to get you back home safe, and I'm going to watch your body while you're doing your work. So, that's what we do as practitioners. We don't do the healing. We
Yeah.
facilitate. I send a frequency to you to give you your highest chance to get there. I hold space for you to get there, and I will drive the school bus, and I will get you back home. But the rest of it's up to you. That's why it's all different. And that's why it's so powerful, because when you don't have guidelines to put people in, I don't put you in a box. I'm there to see, where is your box? What is your box? What are its dimensions? And how are we going to navigate through it? Because I know it's all going to be different. And after you do this enough times, you start to see that. Like I said, when the neck jumped out that one day, it was like, no, I am not going to heal. I was like, whoa, I don't know what to do with this. Hold on, let me think. So yeah, you never know what's going to come up, but you just follow your intuition. I have a very powerful team of masters that have always been with me, and they always guide me beautiful to help. If I get stuck, they help. And usually if we get stuck, usually the person I'm working with, because you always bring a mentor or a guide with you, whomever you choose. I don't care if it's an alien, whatever, it's your journey, whatever you want, I'm going to support you. So people have brought in aliens, they've brought in angels, they brought in grandpa, they brought in all things you can even imagine. But if it supports them, I'm going to connect with that support, and I'm going to make sure that support, I can communicate with that support to help that support for them. So like I said, you have to kind of learn. It's a skill. It's really good to do this work if you have vision, because I can see a lot of what they see.
Excellent.
I can
Excellent.
hear what they can hear a lot of the time. So to be very empathic is critical as a practitioner for this work. And you need to be able to sense too if they're in danger. I can sense if they're in danger sometimes before they can.
Interesting.
Hmm. I feel it. I know. I'm like, where are you at? What's going on? What do you feel? What do you see? And then they'll tell me, because I don't need to see your process either. I don't need to know the details. Like when you're working out your trauma and say it was horrible sexual abuse. Like, I don't need none of that information. And personally, I don't want it. So with that, I will be there to help you get with that person and set up the meeting and start the conversation between the two of you. But I don't need to hear the conversation. All I need to know is that when you've done your conversation, when it's done, then I get them out of the way. I call in higher self from both and we do it again. And then once that conversation is done, then we move through it again. It's a process of layers, and you have to get through different layers of your personality.
Yeah, yeah.
Get into the
It's
higher order.
complex.
It
Hmm.
is, but it's
Yeah.
very easy and it's very natural, and everybody does it kind of their own way because we've all had different experiences and we perceive things different. So like you got to be careful too, because one person might really like clowns, another person might really hate them.
Hmm.
So another thing to do before you start any kind of this work is say, okay, is there anything that you have a phobia of? Do you not like balloons, clowns? You know, is there anything that I need to be aware of that you literally have a phobia of? So you make sure that that doesn't come up on your behalf. Like trying to
Inter-
help them, like saying, okay, if you want to make that bad emotion go away, you can literally create a hot air balloon in your mind. Well, they could have died in a hot air balloon in a past lifetime. You don't know. So, you know, you got to make sure that you're not going to hit triggers. So try to find out if they have triggers. So, and if you're there to work on the triggers, then they're well aware we're going to bring this up, but it's not going to be like caught off guard.
yeah.
Yeah, because you want to keep them safe. That's the primary focus is you're there to help them facilitate their highest goal. And basically you're there to just walk them through the process and hold their hand while they do it. But they're doing the work. You're not doing anything. You get to witness, and that is so cool.
Outstanding. Well, we'll have to talk about this some more. I
Yeah,
like
it's a
this.
beautiful modality. It's actually called the journey process because I was doing this work intuitively and I didn't even really know, because you don't need to be in trance to do this work. You can do this in conversation. Like, you know, this is how NLP is done. You cause confusion patterns in the brain. It's so simple that you don't, you know, church, indoctrination, they're doing all this stuff all day long,
Oh, it's well
all day
well
long. So
orchestrated.
we've got all these crazy programs and stuff. So I was doing this work healing people with these confusion patterns since I was young. And I knew that I could talk to people like my friends when we'd be having sleepovers, and like I could heal them with my words because they were just in that relaxed state. We would just be laying in bed chatting, you know. So I knew I was doing this naturally for a long time, but I never had a word for it or a modality for it. I didn't know if there even was one. And then I found out it was a kind of shamanic work was what I was doing. And then when I went to right before I went to school, I found Brandon Bays with the journey work. And I was like, that's the closest thing to what I do. So I went and got licensed in it because I resonated with her protocols and the way she doesn't do any programming, because I won't program.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I love this. And I'm just seeing in the chat room as well, people are really enjoying
I will
this.
tell you, I have to be totally honest. I have installed one program in my life because the guy begged me to do it because he wanted to know that this stuff was real and that people could put programs into you. And I was like, I will not. So he was like, no, I beg you, we'll do something really like that could never hurt me. I was like, well, all right, I'll think about it. So he begged me for 3 days. And finally I was like, okay, finally. So I worked with because I had a dual therapist. We were working on a high level military guy who was killing his wife in the bedroom. So we had to find out how to stop that. And we did. But so his PTSD, he almost killed his wife 3 times. So we fixed all that, but he wanted this program installed, and I don't do programs. My partner does, but he wanted me to do it for whatever reason, and I'm like, no, I don't do it. So I finally agreed, and it was a funny reference to a squirrel, and nobody else would be able to use this command other than my voice and only me, and it would bring him into a state of pure ecstasy and joy and laughter. So I put the program in, and we were eating dinner on the last night, and I brought up the phrase in a very casual conversation as we were eating dinner, and he literally almost shot the soup out of his nose. He couldn't stop laughing and he just started giggling. And then he realized it was the program and he's like, oh, that's the program.
It does work.
I was like, yeah. And he was like, then he really started laughing. And it was like the best medicine in the world. And then he begged me for another 30 minutes to please record it on his voice message. So I finally did.
Far out. That's all I can say.
So yes, they do work. And this is what they're doing with the radio, with the TV. When you sleep with the TV on, you're getting all these programs installed. All this stuff is so real. And 90% of it, we have no awareness of until it's actually triggered in the mind.
Well, folks, you've gotten well over an hour's worth of, I think, incredible information. Do with it as you want, but hopefully you do something to your betterment. Trina, this has been fun. It's been fun.
Always fun with you, Wayne.
All right, everyone. Well, we held you over for a little bit, but that's okay. Much love to everyone. We will see you next Tuesday. And folks, just learn from these. Trina is an amazing person.
And you guys are the same as me. We're all gifted in many different ways. And it's time to find out, what are our talents? What have we earned over all of these incarnations? What is the powers that we have earned through lots of hard work to master? You guys have gifts inside of you that you just don't remember.
Well, it's time to wake them up, isn't it? All right, folks, we'll see you next Tuesday. Tomorrow, we're going to get back into identifying these little boogers.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Much love to everyone. Bye-bye.